near alleged freak-off supplies, which included dozens of bottles of baby oil and boxes of platform heels, bondage restraints, and bundles of rope. Also photographed as evidence that day, motivational messages on Combs's bathroom mirror that included "You a legend" and "Upward motion," and drugs. Lots of drugs, including ones found in plastic bags.
No, show a
Gucci
clear
bag,
photo of the mirror.
and orange tablets with the Tesla logo that tested positive for ecstasy. Now, Combs has pleaded not guilty to all allegations in this case. A former FBI special...
Yo, how can you say you're not guilty when all the proof is there? All the proof is there. It's on the mirror. It's there.
Agent will join us to break down what it takes to carry out a raid like this. Plus, a former assistant warden is here live with what Combs' life behind bars might look like. But first, let's get right to our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katersky, outside the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Aaron, that special agent was on the stand today testifying about what was found at Combs' Miami Beach property. What did they find?
Well, you started to list it, Eva, the guns, the drugs, the freak-off supplies. And I think what was most striking, perhaps, for the jury to see was the proximity. There were the AR-15 style assault rifles in the same shelving unit as the baby oil and the Astroglide and the platform heels and the lingerie. And then in another part of the house, there was the loaded .45 caliber handgun that was found in a red suitcase. All of this was being kept by...
You thought it was a troll? Well, it's right in your eyes right here. Nah, look at all of this. Nah, bro, these freak-offs, man. It's 8 p.m.
Holmes, for what reason we don't know, but federal prosecutors, I think, are hoping to make a link, especially between the guns and the freak-offs, because their whole theory of the case is that Combs used violence and the threat of violence to coerce women, particularly Cassie Ventura, but other women as well, into these sexual performances.
Aaron, was there any reaction to this evidence?
So you're telling me guys were getting tied up, covered in oil, held at gunpoint? Like, yo, what type of... Who wanted to be at these freak-offs?
Inside the courtroom.
There had to have been money.
The jury, I think, was interested in seeing the weapons, particularly the .45 caliber handgun the special agent from Homeland Security Investigations picked up and paraded in front of the jury box. The drugs seemed less interesting to the jury, but they did see quite a lot of them, including, you mentioned, the Tesla logoed ecstasy. There were other drugs found in a box, a wooden box on the bathroom sink. It had a gold ovular label, Puffy.
Yeah, that is mad.
The jury also heard today from psychologist Dawn Hughes,
I don't want to
who
say his name, but you know his name.
Trauma. What did she say?
There's something so voyeuristic about this entire trial.
What type of word is that? Voyeuristic? Did I not pay attention to this?
Lurid look into the private and often violent sex life of Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura so far. And what Dawn Hughes did was firmly ground it in trauma, in psychological principles about trauma, domestic violence, and sexual abuse. And she could not testify about the specifics. Expert witnesses are not allowed to clinically examine a witness or a victim or the defendant. But generally, she talked about why abuse victims stay in abusive relationships and how they cope with the abuse. And some of the things that she described mimicked the testimony of Cassie Ventura and others, how she felt like she couldn't get out of the relationship because he controlled her finances. Her friend Carrie Morgan and Don Richard both mentioned how...
Nah, you can't put money above life, man. Yo, Mars with the prime sub, man. W Mars, yo, I appreciate the prime sub. Bro, that freestyling was hard, bro. I remember that.
During a beating that Combs was...
Nah, but yo, guys, what do they mean? He controls her finances. Is it like one of them things where like he's taking a percentage of the OF funds or something like that? Or it's like she's trying to live off the guy, bro. Diddy's cooked. Oh, I'm seeing, bro.
Would inflict that they said they witnessed. She would curl up in a fetal position, and Don Richard and the expert Hughes
said
that's what I was thinking. One coping mechanism is to curl up in the ball on the floor.
We also heard from a former employee of Sean Combs, George
That's messed up.
Kaplan,
That's
who was
messed
called
up.
to testify. Who is he?
He was a former assistant. About 15 months, he worked as Sean Combs' executive assistant. He said they one of 4 of them during his tenure. And,
What
and
did he-
for a time,
what
he
was this
meant
guy
to be
doing?
the cleanup man from the freak-offs. He said he would first
the
stock
cleanup
the
man.
hotel rooms. He said there was a hotel bag that
They
contained
had this guy had to have been making bread, being the cleanup guy of the freak offs. What are you even cleaning up? All the baby oil.
and Astroglide and other items that the jury's already heard about. And then he was meant to clean up the
Accepting that
hotel
job is
rooms
wild, man.
himself, tidy them up, he said, to protect Combs' reputation.
I have to ask you, at one point he was able to get an immunity order. What was the reaction when that
What
happened?
a job, man.
Well, the jury
By
didn't
the way,
see
if we ever say get a job, never stoop this low. Never stoop this low. This is not a job. This is torture.
it, but he said he was otherwise going to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. We don't know why he wanted it. We don't know whether he's about to testify about crimes that potentially he committed
you would
that would
stoop that low.
necessitate
That's
that
crazy.
kind of an immunity. He did testify, though, about procuring illegal drugs for Combs. He said he would give cash that Combs gave him and then bring Combs the bag of drugs, including one that contained MDMA.
Aaron Katersky
He did it for drugs, bro. Not even money. Nah, there had to have been money.
there at the
involved.
courtrouse. Thank you so much. Let's dig into all of this. We've got our ABC News legal contributor, Brian Buckmeyer, with us. You were also there in court today. So, Brian, just bring us into that room. What was the biggest moment of the day?
So I'm going to piggyback off of what Aaron said. One of the biggest moments of the day was when George Kaplan took the stand. And I think maybe not so much because the juror wasn't there or the people in the audience, but I think for the attorneys, we all understood, especially attorneys who practice in the Southern District of New York, immunity isn't given out lightly. We're all expecting to hear something, some kind of testimony that he needed immunity because he's going to testify about either.
Yo, how good is Diddy's lawyers, bro? Because how's the guy not behind bars already? This guy needs to have a life sentence in jail, bro. The amount of allegations I've heard from this guy is insane. The amount of things I've heard is insane.
Criminal acts that he did on his own or at the behest of Sean Combs that he wants protection from. Now, the beginning of the testimony, just about buying drugs. Yes, criminal, but I think as we continue to tomorrow's testimony, we'll probably hear a lot more because this is the individual who set up these freak-offs and put it down. The question is, what did he see, what did he know, and what did he believe to be cleaning up after?
Yes, please get someone to describe the freak offs. I need to hear every single activity that was there because I swear Justin Bieber was a part of it and this guy was a minor.
About the show and tell that the jury got today, that special agent who was part of the Miami raid, they brought
Bro,
in the
why are we acting like we don't want to hear what happened in the freak offs, bro?
evidence. Why not
does
just
someone
show
need
the
that
jury
much oil?
pictures?
Well, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Seeing it physically yourself
Imagine
is a
this
lot
video.
different. Don't forget, we are in the Southern District of New York. Many of the jurors are in either from Manhattan, they are in Westchester or the Bronx. And so seeing a physical gun and understanding what it is, the size of it. I know we were talking before, I don't think they're going to get to hold the guns themselves, but seeing it is one thing. But the defense really pushed back on this idea because don't forget, this is a very large home and compound.
Proof is always
trying to make
needed,
the
man.
argument that, you know what, other people work and live here. Maybe Sean Combs doesn't possess these, even though some of the serial numbers are scratched off.
The other thing that was kind of surprising waking up this morning, rapper Kid Cudi was expected to testify today, but apparently there was a note sent last night to the judge signaling otherwise. It's like a late night note.
They've taken him down. They've paid him off. So someone stopped him from sending the info. He's been sent an offer. No, I'm telling you, these men have too much power. Why is he not talking?
Are we going to hear from him? What happened here?
The idea is we still are going to hear from Kid Cudi. Don't forget, Cassie's
Are you
civil lawsuit,
sure?
there was a relationship between the two for a period of time. There's also from Cassie's lawsuit and from the indictment itself that Kid Cudi allegations are connected to the racketeering conspiracy, specifically arson. And we know that Kid Cudi did come out to the New York Times in 2023 saying it's all true in reference to Cassie's civil lawsuit, where she claimed that Sean Combs threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's vehicle and wanted his friends present to see it as a way of controlling and using force to keep Cassie close to him.
We'll have to wait and watch for that testimony. Brian Buckmeyer, thank you so much. We learned a lot about the raid of Diddy's Miami home. Let's bring in ABC News contributor and former FBI special agent in charge, Richard Frankel. You worked for the Bureau for 20 years, supervised and executed many FBI raids. And I want to point out that you were not involved in any raids involving Sean Combs. But just walk us through how something like this goes down. Once a judge signs off on a raid, what happens next?
Well, actually, the judge doesn't specifically sign off on the
No,
raid.
that voice
He
I wasn't
will
expecting.
authorize a warrant. He'll authorize a search warrant, arrest warrant. And then once you have that, then you begin the process of doing surveillances of the location to see what they're like, finding out who's inside the location, starting to plan everything associated with the arrest and the execution of the search warrants. How many people you're going to need, what time you're going to go, who's going to be...
Man, American news is a movie, bro. American news is a movie. Why don't we get given this info? Bro, BBC News, they're always telling me about a stabbing happening here, a stabbing happening there. When there's a whole Diddy trial over here and I've heard nothing about it. Bro, where did I even hear Diddy trial from in the first place? It was like somewhere on my recommended. Bro, I'm missing out on all this info.
Yeah,
this
the
is
front
crazy.
door, the back door, all of that is planned out once you get those warrants.
The government actually released images and maps of Diddy's home. Is that a typical part of the planning?
Oh, yeah. You're going to have maps. You're going to have maps not only of that area, but you're going to have maps going to the courthouse, if that's where you're going to be bringing people to after, if it's an arrest. You're going to have maps to...
Yo, that is a house for one person. That looks like a holiday resort, bro. No, like a holiday. Nah. Oh, if you've watched Big Time Rush, bro. Yeah. Oh my life. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Big Time Rush hotel. Or should I just type in the hotel in Big Time Rush? Let me type that in. Yeah, this place. Bro, they're like pretty much the same. How has this guy got a hotel in his home, bro? This is crazy.
To a hospital in case somebody's injured. And then you're going to have an overall map of the area so that you know where you're going in. You're going to have all those 4 sides of a location marked because you may have people doing entry on the front. You may have people at the back door and on the side doors. And then you're going to have people around the perimeter to make sure that no one either gets into the perimeter or out of the perimeter.
A lot of planning, it seems, goes on. Today, the jurors saw some images of what was inside Diddy's home, including seeing the guns and the drugs. You know, once those agents are in the house, how do they go through everything?
Well, you do it in a very systematic manner. You're not going in there and just, going through one room and just checking things. You're going to have somebody who's in charge of the execution of the search warrant. And that person is going to make sure that you go from room to room and that you cover every part of that search warrant to make sure that you've looked in every spot. And as you go through it, you're going to have people with forms, with paper, that are going to fill out what's been found in the room.
Bro, I think I saw a video of the FBI raiding one time. These guys have guns aiming at the what's it called, the cupboards and stuff. Like someone's just gonna pop out like a ghost, bro. It's so funny. It's like they treat everything they open like opening. They open it and then they're aiming a gun at it like someone's just gonna blow up, bro.
Where
it's so
been
funny.
found, you're gonna have photographers. You're gonna have other people just overwatching the area to be able to swear that something was found in a certain location. So it's a very intricate search, especially when you're doing a search of this nature.
When you talk about a search of this nature, this extremely high-profile target like Sean Combs, how does that impact how you guys do things?
One second.
Well, the goal is that you do every search the same way. But the fact that it was Sean Combs, you're going to make sure that you are dotting the I's, crossing the T's, that you may have extra people there because it's expected that this is going to go to trial. And also because of the size of the location, you're going to have to make sure that you are going through each room and checking every nook and cranny. In other searches, you may have an idea of where something is, or it's just a small location. But in this instance, it was a very large residence, and you had a lot of area to cover. And during that time, you also know that you're going to have press looking at you, you're going to have the public looking at you. So you have to make sure you're doing this all according to plan.
Richard Frankel, thank you so much for being with us today.
Nah, this
Still
guy's a
ahead,
goal, I
Sean
ain't
Diddy
gonna lie.
Combs' life behind bars. We're joined by a former warden for more on what his life is like now. And did Diddy blow up Kid Cudi's car? Why, that's a top search online. Stay with us.
Yo, Kid Cudi needs to start talking, man. What the hell? Blowing up cars, me.
Looking for car hire that's head and shoulders above the rest, Heather?
GTA IRL,
With
man.
Kayak, you can see cars.
Yo, did I just get a news ad break in a YouTube vid?
Break down the legal strategies we saw playing out in court today. Brian
Yo, chill. I think I might be reaching unk status. I'm enjoying the news. This is getting bad, bro.
Buckmeyer is back playing in the defense. Bernarda Villalona playing the prosecutor. Bernarda, let's start with you. The evidence that we saw here today: guns, ammo, those freak-off supplies.
Drugs.
What are prosecutors wanting the jury to think seeing all those things?
So the prosecutor definitely wants to paint a picture in the sense of that you heard testimony already from Cassie and other witnesses about the ingredients at any freak-off, having to deal with the baby oil and the Astroglide. But now here you have confirmation. You have.
Yo, is the angle doing her dirty, or is like her eyes just, they're looking a little bit off?
Corroboration, because guess what? It was found in Diddy's home. So now you have more than a person's testimony as a piece of evidence. Now you have the physical evidence showing that. Now, in terms of the gun, now when we talk about racketeering conspiracy, when we talk about RICO, you think of mob style people, right? Guess what? Diddy is considered the leader of that RICO conspiracy. So you want to tie that mob mentality with, guess what? 2 AR-15s. Look at this bad guy, this big guy. He has AR-15s in his home.
So
and also
much
try to dirty
passion,
him
man.
up a bit. Hey, in the end, they recovered it from his house, so it's fair game for the prosecution.
Yeah, okay, for the defense, this evidence, is it a problem?
Whose guns is it? Is it registered to Sean Combs? Does it have his fingerprints? Does it have his DNA?
It was in his bedroom. It was in his free.
Yo, I was reading some news earlier, and I was actually invested in this shit. I was shocked myself. Now I'm telling you, the news is stepping up their game, bro. It might just be because of the Diddy case, but I'm telling you, the news is on it.
Closet.
Wow.
Okay, so I think for the defense, the argument here is this is not my home, or your home that only one person lives in it. Who has access to Sean Combs' home? This is a
Facts.
mansion.
His master bedroom. Like, who else has access to his master bedroom? And
How are you gonna know? Figure it out. What the hell? Just because it's his master bedroom. Come on, man. That's like saying just because it's my room, only I have access to it. No, it's not just me, innit?
it's inside of his closet.
You mean one of his master bedrooms of the 6, 7, 8 homes that he has where people both work and live in his home? There's a studio in his home. There's all a bunch of things. The defense tried to get out the fact that this investigation was not thorough in the sense of trying to identify Sean Combs as the individual who actually owns these guns. And they had multiple ways of doing so. And so you create reasonable doubt by saying this is a home not like ours.
But they don't have to prove that he owns it. They just have to prove that, actually, they don't have to prove anything having to deal with the guns because there's no allegation that he possessed a gun in an indictment.
Well, let's
so he's
talk
not
about those
charged
guns a
with
little
it.
bit because we were told they were defaced serial numbers
Exactly,
on those
so you
guns.
can't track them.
I mean, why? Why have defaced serial number guns in
yeah,
your
why?
home?
We can ask the former prosecutor and she's gonna have her answer. But the idea is that you're trying to evade criminality, that you have a defaced gun because you don't want it to be traced. It's either traced to another crime or you don't want to have it traced back to you if it is used for a crime. But again, the idea becomes, this is Sean Combs who lives in a massive house where many people live and work there. And
Bro, who the hell is planting that in his room, bro? If he defaced the serial number that's tracking down to crime, if the guns are in his home, just put him under the crime. I don't care, man. It's Diddy. It's just paint the picture. It is what it is, man. Defending Diddy's outrageous. That's what I'm saying. Just put it on him, bro.
this is also Florida, where people have guns for multiple reasons. And so if they're not attaching the guns to Combs or some sort of criminal enterprise, it's simply that these are guns are here and they're could be his.
Yeah, but the inference is still there because remember, you have the Mr. James who testified as to that one incident where they were going after Suge Knight, and guess what? Diddy had 3 guns on his lap. Granted that this house is the Florida house, not the California house. I am curious to see whether at the California mansion, what is it that they recovered from there?
Okay, well, let's also talk about the other thing that happened today that I thought was really interesting, which is this whole immunity situation.
Oh, yes.
The former assistant asking for immunity before he testified. For the prosecutor, why would you grant immunity?
So I was in the courtroom when this all went down. So the AUSA decided to do this out of the presence of the jury, meaning the jury wasn't present when the witness got on the stand and said,
imagine being the jury of a Diddy trial. How do you get in that position? I swear the jury is always random. But like for this is kind of different. If I was a jury for Diddy's trial, just know this would be an honor. I'm going so far against this free coffer. He's done for. He's done for.
Said that he was going to exercise his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. So this happened out of the presence of the jury. I would back it up a bit. When Mr. Kaplan first walked into the courtroom, Diddy had turned around, looked at him, and they smiled at each other and head nodded before he actually got on the stand. And I was like,
nah, that's tough. That's tough. I ain't gonna lie. That's crazy. Bro said, nah, we just like how we rehearsed, turn around, head nod. Nah, tell me that isn't code. I'm not gonna lie. They must have some master plan. Because if they can hide something like this for so long, nah, they already know. They already know someone's nah. They've got a plan, bro.
The fix is already in. So you already knew he was going to say that he wanted immunity because he doesn't want to testify against Sean Combs. Now he's finally on the stand. When it comes to determining as a former prosecutor whether you want to give a person immunity, you have to get something of value. There must be something of value that this witness is able to give you, that you're willing to give them immunity, saying, guess what? You get a free pass for whatever you're going to testify, minus perjury.
And they know that. And so what the defense is going to do is say, no one gets immunity just because they have something to say. They give immunity because they have something significant to help in the case. So the question is, are you making up that significant thing so that the government...
Wait, so did he actually get immunity or is he asking for immunity like right now? That's what I want to know.
Doesn't come after
I wasn't
you,
listening
because
earlier,
oftentimes you get immunity. It's not just because like, oh, well, we're being nice to you, let's give it to you. Like, no, we're going to convict you of a serious crime and you're going to spend serious time in jail, or you give us something and then we don't come after you. So is that something real or is it fake?
But then why would you be smiling at the defendant and nodding heads if there was something to give? I mean, I don't know.
It was an uncomfortable situation in a sense where, but since it happened outside of the presence of the jury did not see that. It was a completely different story when Mr. Kaplan came in to take the stand in front of the jury. There was no head nod. There was no face contact between the two. He went straight to the stand and took the stand. And of course, his attorney was also.
Yeah, well, nah. Bro, of course, if the jury isn't there, they're gonna give some sort of signal. If the jury's there and they see that, then obviously they're gonna be like, yeah, these men are guilty. Well, nah.
Present inside of that courtroom as well.
We'll have to wait and see what else he says tomorrow. Bernardo, Brian, always fun with you too. Still ahead, Sean Diddy Combs' life behind bars. We're joined by a former warden for more on what his life is like now. And did Diddy blow up Kid Cudi's car? Why, that's a top search online. Stay with us.
Hey, don't tell me to
Looking for a solution to finally tackle some tasks around the house and upgrade your space?
I used to task it from TaskRabbit.
Well, how would that's so perfect, man?
Spending his days at the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan, but his nights have been spent nearly 5 miles away at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, also known as MDC. It's a federal jail that's become the home for a who's who of high-profile defendants in recent years. Sam Bankman-Fried, Ghislaine Maxwell, Luigi Mangione, Svetlana, the alleged stowaway, just some of the detainees who have spent time at MDC.
Thankfully, I don't know any of them.
What is life like in a jail with so many notable names? Joining me now is someone who knows MDC inside and out. Christine Dinan spent more than 2 decades working for the Federal Bureau of Prisons. She spent 2 of those years as an associate warden at MDC. Christine, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Eva.
Now, I know it's been a while since you worked at MDC, and you were not there when Sean Combs was detained, but just take us inside the jail. What makes MDC different from other detention centers?
It's much like other detention centers in such that how they're housed, inmate movement back and forth. A jail is just like a prison. It's a microcosm of society. So every possible need that an inmate could have is there and available. It might not be the same quality that they would get in the street, but nonetheless, everything is there for them.
What's a typical day?
I'm sorry?
What's a typical day like for someone like Sean Combs? Does he get any kind of special treatment inside a jail like this?
Sure. So it all depends on where they're housed. So individuals housed in a special housing unit will have a much different day than an individual in general population.
God, just
individuals
say what
in general
happens,
population
bro.
will generally rise at a certain time.
Nah,
Food
facts.
will be brought to them. In jails, because there's the need often to keep other inmates separated from one another, inmates do not have freedom to roam throughout the jail. It's generally very structured movement and generally under an escort. If they're in 24-hour lockdown or a special housing unit, their movement is very, very limited. And they
I ain't gonna lie. I feel like after a period of time, I feel like he would fall into the routine. It is torture, but like I feel like anyone with a good mindset can get through this. I'm not gonna lie. Wait, so what's worse, a detention center or a prison?
They would essentially leave their cell for maybe an hour, maybe more, depending upon the jail, to go to recreation, get some outside air. And then upon request, they can leave their cell sometimes if they need to go to the law library, for example, which is also located in that unit.
Nah, what am I talking about? The lack of doing nothing. Nah, I would lose my mind. What am I talking about?
I'm curious, why have we seen so many big names locked up there at MDC?
That would end up falling on the arresting agent, right? So whoever ends up at a jail is based on the law enforcement agency that comes before it. So the role of the jail is really to...
Bro, you literally came in my stream earlier when I was playing a game, bro. What the hell?
House and confined individuals that are brought to them, in this case, by the United States Marshals, the FBI, some kind of federal...
I've been playing games for the past 3 hours. I react to a 20-minute vid and guys say I only react. Nah, y'all are the best, man.
Agency, and those individuals cannot afford bail. So, or their crimes are such that, they would cause drama on the street. They have a potential flight risk, or their crime is so severe that...
Bro, you were here this morning on my meat putting dots in the chat, bro, while I was playing Fortnite. Look, I will literally pull it up right now. Hold on. Yeah, this guy's always chatting BS, bro. Boys, slow down. Dots. This guy's always saying, this guy has the worst takes as well, man. This guy, you're low-key a loser. I ain't gonna lie, man. This guy's annoying as hell.
They want to deny bail.
Christine Dinan, thank you so much for joining us and helping us understand what life there is like. Well, time now to take a look at what's trending online when it comes to this trial. Some of today's biggest searches include, did Diddy blow up Kid Cudi's car? What happened to Kim Porter? Is the trial going to be televised? And how much is Diddy worth? ABC News contributor Kelly Carter joins us now from Los Angeles. She covers entertainment and pop culture for us. So that first search, let's talk about this. Whoa. Did Diddy blow up Kid Cudi's car? Cassie Ventura testified last week that Combs threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car after learning of her relationship with him. What can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, we got to go back to that 2023 civil suit that Cassie filed. And in there, she alleges that Sean said he would do something like blow up a car, and he would not be in the country when it happened. And of course, he has denied all of his
favorite song.
But Kid Cudi's team released a statement to the New York Times after that civil suit dropped and said, this is all
don't
true.
Even get me started, man.
This was true to my experience. And so I think people are probably searching for that again now because they know he's about to take the stand, and they're anticipating what he may reveal on the stand as a result of that.
Okay, one of the other questions are asking, what happened to Kim Porter?
This
Porter,
guy's a
of course,
troll,
the
man.
mother of 4 of Sean Combs' children.
Yeah, she unfortunately died in 2018 of pneumonia, former model and a longtime on-again, off-again partner of Sean Combs.
All right, and then another question that people have, how much is Diddy worth?
Yes, that net worth has gone down substantially. In 2019, Forbes had him at about $780
Yo, just do exclamation mark YouTube.
Last year.
I post everything
that I stream on my main. Still a substantial amount of money.
How much?
But people are probably searching for that because still a substantial the end of last year. Maybe I'm at about, yes, that net worth has gone down substantially. In 2019, Forbes had him at about $780 million the end of last year. Maybe somewhere between $300 and $400 million, still a substantial amount of money.
Bro was almost worth $1 billion and halved his entire income.
But people are probably searching for that because they're aware of at least the civil suit payoff.
This
for
guy's
Cassie,
about to go broke.
And they know that there are some other civil suits that are still pending right now.
And his current legal bills as well. Kelly Carter,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for joining us. We'll be back with new episodes every day of the trial. The show streams right here on ABC News Live, Disney Plus, and Hulu, weekdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
Nah,
and
this was a
Pacific.
movie, I'm not
For
gonna
even more
lie.
on the Diddy trial, make sure to follow
Woo!
the podcast, Bad Rap.
Big up ABC, man. Yo, and you need to stop me riding. If you think my stream's so boring, go watch someone else. There's 7 million other streamers that are live, bro. Oh my God, man. Guys always love to moan, man. Holy smokes. Leave me alone.